Hi, beautiful people. How are ya? I hope you're having a great day. So I mentioned in my last video that I had some blood work done, and I wasn't worried because I thought I was doing all the things that I should be doing to keep my glucose numbers and my cholesterol numbers under control. But I was shocked when my doctor's office called me the other day. I expected to hear, oh, how wonderful everything was. And for the most part, it was all good. But my glucose number was 102. Well, 6 months ago, it was 99. Yeah, that's kind of high, but it's still within the normal range. And 102 isn't bad. It's above the 99 mark where they want you to stay under, but it's still within the pre-diabetes range. My A1C was high at 5.7%. Not too bad. The highest number you're allowed to get to is 5.6%. So 5.7 isn't too bad. But again, it's listed as high because it's above the proper number. So I'm pre-diabetic again, and I don't want it to get any higher. I figured that as I continued my journey of no sugar, less carbs, no bread, and a relatively high intake of protein, that my A1C and glucose numbers would continue to lower. So a blood glucose test measures where your glucose number is right now. An A1C test measures where your glucose numbers have been over the last 2 to 3 months. So apparently my glucose numbers have risen slowly over the last 6 months. So what have I been doing wrong? That's what I'd like to talk about today. Here we go. I've talked about metabolic syndrome in another video, so some of this information isn't new for us, but I think, well, I need a reminder of the things I need to be doing and would love to know if you're going through this too. Heart.org stated metabolic syndrome this way, quote, metabolic syndrome is a serious health condition that puts people at a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and diseases related to fatty buildups in artery walls, known as arteriosclerosis. Underlying causes of metabolic syndrome include overweight and obesity, insulin resistance, physical inactivity, genetic factors, and increasing age, unquote. So what is measured? You need 3 or more of the following to be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome: high blood glucose, low levels of HDL good cholesterol, high levels of triglycerides, large waist circumference, and high blood pressure. So 3 or more of those. Well, the good news is that my cholesterol levels are still normal. And I don't have high blood pressure. Actually, I have low blood pressure because of neurocardiogenic syncope. At my last doctor's appointment, my blood pressure was 106 over 67, so I'm not worried about that. But I still have 2 of them: large waist circumference, but it's much smaller than it used to be. I think I'm in a size 12, medium pants, but probably not where it should be. And of course, the high blood glucose. Insulin resistance is genetic, and some people are predisposed to it. It definitely shows up in my DNA genetic testing, and there's a higher risk of having insulin resistance with age. According to a 2007 study, women with fibromyalgia were 5.56 times more likely than healthy controls to have metabolic syndrome. This is most likely due to our lack of physical activity, but sleep deprivation is also linked to metabolic syndrome. In addition, metabolic syndrome and fibromyalgia are characterized by sympathetic nervous system activation. In a 2021 German study, researchers stated there's a link between fibromyalgia, ME/CFS, osteoarthritis, and metabolic syndrome. In this study, researchers found that 48% of fibromyalgia patients had metabolic syndrome. That's almost half. So that's disturbing to me. Quote, mechanisms suggested to explain the relationship between fibromyalgia and obesity include impaired endogenous opioid system. We've talked about that. Altered growth hormone, insulin-like growth factor 1 axis. I haven't really talked about that, so I think I will. And thyroid dysfunction. We've talked a lot about that, unquote. And they found higher blood pressure and cholesterol in fibromyalgia patients, and more severe symptoms were associated with people with fibromyalgia and metabolic syndrome. In a 2021 Turkey study, researchers stated that 24% of fibromyalgia patients and 7.9% of control patients also had metabolic syndrome. That's almost 4 times higher risk of fibromyalgia patients getting metabolic syndrome. Obviously, the information we're getting from all of these studies is that there's a direct relationship between fibro and metabolic disturbances. So it's something that I wanted you and me to be aware of and get ahead of it. Quote, fasting glucose and insulin values, glycated hemoglobin, blood lipid profile, thyroid function tests, complete blood count, blood chemistry, iron, folic acid, and vitamin 12 levels of the participants were studied. Those are all things that we should have looked at with fibromyalgia. Also, in the group of fibromyalgia patients without metabolic syndrome, patients showed insulin resistance and glycated hemoglobin risk levels were higher than the control group. So even if you don't have metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance can potentially be an issue. And they stated that being overweight and physical inactivity predisposed patients to developing insulin resistance. Visceral fat impairs insulin clearance by the liver and alters peripheral metabolism, which probably explains my bun creatine ratio. Eunice found no differences between psychological and catecholamines measured. Catecholamines are hormones and neurotransmitters such as adrenaline, dopamine, epinephrine, noradrenaline, norepinephrine, and catecholamine plasma. Cortisol, on the other hand, is a single chemical that regulates metabolism and regulation of our hormones. And in that Turkish study, researchers didn't identify any differences between the groups regarding urinary cortisol, urinary norepinephrine, which is a catecholamine that affects our heart, blood sugar, and blood vessels, and plasma cortisol, which affects glucose metabolism and our body's response to stress. What that all means is that our body produces cortisol in the same way as normal controls. I found that interesting because in fibromyalgia and ME/CFS, studies show there are altered cortisol patterns in how our bodies clear cortisol. So, not in how we produce it, but in how we clear it from our body. The first thing heart.org recommends is to lose weight. So that's what I've been working on. I've got a few more pounds to lose, but it's coming off slowly. In the last month, I've lost 3 pounds. I mean, I really only need to lose probably 5 more pounds, so that's fine, slow and steady. Secondly, eat a heart-healthy diet, which includes whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and fish. I'm also working on this to the best of my ability. And I just started taking fish oil again. I got kind of lazy about taking it. They're humongous pills. I take enough pills, even though I know it provides a lot of benefits. But with my blood results, I've added it back. And here's the problem with diets. Everybody's body responds to food differently. So there's no single magic diet for everyone. But what is known is to follow a few simple guidelines to reduce our blood sugar. So view this as a plate. And so the first thing we need to do is to fill half our plate with non-starchy vegetables. Next, we fill 1/4 of our plate with lean protein foods. And third, we fill the other 1/4 of our plate with carbohydrate foods. And I'm really happy that popcorn's on that list. I love popcorn. And as far as drinks are concerned, water is obviously the best choice, but you can also drink unsweetened tea. I put stevia in mine. Unsweetened coffee. Again, I like stevia. Sparkling water and flavored water, as long as there's no sugar in it. It also seems to approve diet drinks, but I gave those up at least a year ago. I think it's healthier for me not to have soft drinks. And I've ordered a protein mix that I can put in my coffee. I'll let you know how much I like it. It's got a chocolate flavor with stevia already in it. So it sounds like it'll be yummy, but also provide me some benefits. And I finally ordered the digestive enzymes to help with my tummy issues. There are 3 types of carbohydrates: starches, sugar, and fiber. On nutrition labels, the term total carbohydrate refers to all 3 of these. Good carbs are those high in fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and low in added sugar, sodium, and unhealthy fats. So I've already talked about non-starchy vegetables. The ones that I mentioned are high in fiber, but little carb count. But blueberries, strawberries, apples, and cantaloupe are starchy carbs, so eat these minimally. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which raises our glucose levels in our blood. Because if we don't have enough insulin to process the glucose in our body, it leaves our body with excess glucose. And a little note, taking vitamin D supplements can help our body to absorb calcium. And I think it's usually recommended to take magnesium along with the vitamin D. This helps with our blood circulation and our nerves to transmit messages. Okay, so physical activity. That's always a thorn in our side. Exercise is one of those words that tends to send chills down our spine because of our exercise intolerance, but we need to do it. And we can use movement to get the same effects. Housework can replace an exercise routine. Yesterday, I completely removed things off of my desk. It was driving me bonkers. Just stuff everywhere and no organization. So I moved our printer back there, right there. And that gave me room on my desk to organize it. And I feel such freedom and liberty with this uncluttered. And trust me, that was like doing an exercise routine, the bending and lifting, because I reorganized some totes that I have under this desk into the drawers over there, and all of that had to be rearranged. So it was quite a workout. But just know that when you do start moving, you're going to feel it. But as you do it more, it does get easier, I promise. So exercise will help us to reduce our A1C and blood glucose. But the key to that is consistency. So moving around a bit once a week isn't going to cut it. If you're able to get out and walk every day, build your tolerance level. And consistent exercise lowers the risk of heart disease and stroke and other serious diseases that affect diabetics. But physical exercise can look different on each of us. It's all going to depend on what you're capable of doing, how much you're able to do, and what you enjoy. I'm not going to tell you what the best exercise is for you. You're the best judge of that. But what does exercise actually do? In the short term, meaning right after you do something physical, insulin sensitivity is increased. So our muscle cells are better able to use any available insulin to take up glucose during and after activity. And our muscles contract during activity. So our cells are able to take up glucose and use it for energy, whether insulin is available or not. In the long term, meaning consistent and regular movement / exercise, our A1C will lower. So I'm going back to my roots and finding my love of aerobics. Mild aerobics, trust me, to have a mindset that exercise is good for me. I need exercise to be fun. That's why I like aerobics. That, I don't know, for me, aerobics has always been fun. It's something I started doing in my 20s. And then by the time I hit my 40s, I stopped. I got fibromyalgia, and voila. Do you remember Richard Simmons? I watched him in the 80s, and that was when I was inspired. He made aerobics fun. And, back then I could do most of the stuff that he did without any problem. Now, no, nowhere near my ability to turn my waist. That's going to take some time. I don't know. I have issues with radiculopathy from time to time, so I have to be aware of that. But I can do aerobics my way. It's movement, and I love music. So watching somebody else enjoy what they're doing inspires me. And since I can do what I want to do, watching it on YouTube, no one is judging me. I'm doing it how I want to do it in my own way with a ton of breaks. I hope you learned something. I send you gentle hugs and support. Love you. And